Hi there. I decided that I wanted to put together a video that could be used for chaperones, pastors, leaders, students, their parents that are participating in our bus trip to the youth convention this summer. So, 2020, when we thought the convention was going to happen in 21, we started planning our trip, and then the convention was postponed for a year. So we kind of put the brakes on planning, but then about a year later, we restarted, and actually we had already done a lot of the details of like what is our route going to look like, and what events are we going to do, and kind of things like that. So it was actually a pretty easy thing to do to restart. And as we restarted, we wound up ending up with 9 churches being a part of our buses. And those churches are, and we've got 2 buses. One is originating in Fargo, one is originating in the Twin Cities. The Fargo bus has on it Mayville, North Dakota, Antler, North Dakota, Fargo, North Dakota, Fergus Falls, North Dakota, and Jamestown, North Dakota. And then the bus that originates in the Twin Cities has Colfax, Wisconsin, Oak Hill and Bloomington, True Life in Rochester, and then we pick up the Toronto church in Toronto, but they'll be riding our bus as well. So as we came together, we think we put together a pretty slick trip. So I want to tell you about the trip. You can use this video, share it with students, parents, whoever, chaperones, pastors, leaders, anybody at your church. Let them know this is what this trip is going to look like. So the first bus is the bus that's going to leave from Fargo. That bus is leaving at 9 o'clock. We've asked for churches to arrive 30 minutes beforehand, so at 8:30 gives time to load up and things like that. And then that bus will depart at 9 o'clock, and it's got about a 3-hour drive or so. And then starting from Oak Hill in Bloomington will be a bus that everybody will depart at 7 o'clock in the morning. And at 7 in the morning, again, arriving about 30 minutes beforehand. They've got about a 5-hour drive, and then we'll get to Toronto, South Dakota. When we get to Toronto, South Dakota, we will have about 2 hours there. The church in Toronto has graciously said, hey, we'll feed you lunch. So we'll do some lunch together. We'll have a little bit of a time to kind of get the Toronto students kind of caught up and get to know some of the people that are in our group. We'll also split up our groups based on our dinner stop, which sounds maybe kind of silly, but we've got 100 people, and we're going to be stopping for dinner in Grand Island, Nebraska. There's no food courts, no place that's like great for taking in 100 people all at once. It's also where our bus drivers are going to switch. Our bus drivers are allowed to drive X amount of hours, and then after driving X amount of hours, they've got to rest. So the bus companies have staged their drivers. That means that there'll be one that'll have been out there a day beforehand, will have earned that rest prior, and that driver will actually be our primary driver that will stay with us the rest of the way. But Grand Island is where we're doing that. So when we're in Toronto, what we're going to do is we're going to assign 5 restaurants to each bus, and we're going to say, all right, if you're on this bus, pick which one of these 5 restaurants that you want to go to. If you're on this bus, pick which one of these 5 restaurants that you want to go to. And then the buses will drop us off at each of those restaurants so that we get about 10 people at each restaurant. So we'll do that while we're in Toronto as well. So we get to Grand Island. We've got about an hour stop there, and then do dinner, driver swap, and things like that. And then from there, there will be more stops during the night. But from there, that'll have been our dinner stop. We'll probably drive 4 or 5 hours, maybe stop to get gas, bathrooms, things like that. There are bathrooms on the bus, so driving is something we can continually doing. And then what we wind up doing is actually driving through the night. One of the wins for that was that it saves us the cost of a hotel. But as we drive through the night, we then wake up in the morning in Buena Vista, Colorado. We're shooting to be there about 7 in the morning. Gives us a couple hours. If something were to go wrong, traffic, whatever, we got stuck somewhere, so something happened where we needed a delay, where we needed a cushion of time. So we've got that kind of built in. We'll have breakfast on the side of the river. We'll have brought the breakfast with us. It'll be just pretty simple muffins, things like that. Maybe donuts, I don't know. But we'll have breakfast for our students. And after that, we will go whitewater rafting, and then we go rafting until early afternoon. And then one of the things is that our drivers need to have about an 8-hour break before their hours reset, and our driver will have, by the time they get to Buena Vista, they won't have enough hours left for the rest of our drive. So we will be parked for 8 hours no matter what, rafting, breakfast, and then whatever we need to get to the 8 hours. And then after the 8 hours have happened, we'll have about a 2 to 3 hour drive, and we will drive to Best Western Denver Tech is the name of the hotel in Denver, and the buses will be parked there. One of the things that we will be doing is our committee that planned this trip, we decided that we're going to have pizza delivered to the hotel. We're going to charge each student $5. So we said that there's a number of meals that are paid out of pocket. This is one of those, but it's still a pretty good deal. You're going to get Papa John's for $5, basically. We're going to order like 50 pizzas, and I think that's going to be plenty of food for everybody, and that will work pretty well. Then in the morning on July 10th, which is the start of Leg 3, we want to leave the hotel that morning. And as we leave the hotel, we're leaving at about 7 o'clock in the morning because we've got about a 2 or 3 hour drive to Estes Park. We've got we've got a car that we're picking up. It's our kind of our bonus car in case we ever needed a bonus car. We've got to stop and pick that up along the way, which that'll be easy to do. And then what we're doing is we're asking that every student, chaperone, whoever's on the bus, passenger on the bus, that they would load the bus according to their destination. Now, okay, so you're wondering what's that about? When we get to Estes Park, we're going to be giving students two options. And the option is actually based on, one of the options is weather permitting, and that is if we will go to the national park. The bus company said, one of the bus companies said, yep, we'll take people there, but it's weather permitting, that they won't have any issues with the bus. So weather permitting, we'll have two options. Get on one bus if you're going to go to the national park, and it's I think it's a 16-mile drive up to the top, so you're at about, I think, 13,000 feet or so at the top of Rocky Mountain National Park. We'll be parked at the top for a couple hours. There's a rest area there, observation area, a gift shop, things like that. It's beautiful up there. There's a stairway that you can climb. If you really want to climb all the way to the top of that area, you can do that too. The second bus will do the sightseeing in Estes Park. The two buses will then meet at the youth convention. Doesn't matter where your luggage is, the buses are going to get to the youth convention about the same time. But you're going to want to load up on the bus that is going to where you're going. So then that is on July 11th. Then in the afternoon, we will check into the youth convention about 3 o'clock. And I don't have to explain any details about the youth convention, but we're at the youth convention through July 15th. On July 15th, we have the last session, breakfast, are the two big pieces for the youth convention. We're asking that all of our students have all of their stuff, weather permitting. If it's outside, we'll show where so that our buses can load up the luggage. And if the weather is not permitting, we'll use one of the lounges for that. And then we will then go to the session, go to lunch. And then our aim is to be back at the buses by 11:30. We've got kind of a tight schedule. I don't know if it's super tight, but we've got to nail this schedule down pretty good and just run this pretty well. On the 15th, 11:30 is when we're aiming to have all of our students boarding onto our buses, and then from there we've got to drive for about 8 hours to get to Mount Rushmore. We do have a dinner stop. The dinner stop is in Gillette, Wyoming. And then similarly to how we did it in Grand Island, except now we're not going to be asking you, we'll be assigning, I should say, each bus will be getting 5 restaurants again. And there's actually a lot of crossover between the restaurants that we're going to be choosing them for them to go to for each bus. And then we'll do the dinner stop. They'll switch drivers there. And then from there, and that's the kind of the change of drivers happens like it did at Grand Island as well. And then from there, we will have a couple more hours that we drive, and then we'll be at Mount Rushmore. And our aim is to be at Mount Rushmore 8, 9 o'clock-ish. And the park closes at 11, and it'll give us a chance to see Mount Rushmore all lit up at night. And then from there, we'll drive, and the bus that is going to Fargo does not stop in Toronto. The bus that is going back to Fargo will make basically as straight of a route as it can from Mount Rushmore back to Fargo, and then get back on the morning of the 15th. The bus that ends in Bloomington, that bus will go through Toronto, drop off the Toronto students, and then be back on the morning of the 15th as well. So that is our trip in a nutshell. So I'm kind of hoping that helps anybody that's like wondering, what does the trip look like? What should I be thinking about? What are meals going to look like on the trip? Whatever questions that you might have. So thank you very much for watching, and trust that helps. And look forward to being on the bus with you guys.